In the first episode of the second season of Solo Leveling, it starts from Jinwoo is sleeping, and suddenly, he gets a call asking him to come to school by 5 o'clock to meet his sister's teacher. He quickly gets ready, but before going to school, he goes to the bank to get a new debit card and update his passbook. While the bank employee is updating his passbook, she's surprised to see he has 1.4 billion in his account. She asks about his job and tells him about a new product for VIP customers. After reaching school, Jinwoo's sister and other students are surprised by his appearance. Many girls want to talk to him and compliment him. Then his sister teases him by asking him to introduce him to a cute girl. But Jinwoo stretches her cheek and asks to not make fun of him. Later, Jinwoo goes to meet his sister's teacher. The teacher tells him that his sister wants to study medical study after school, and she's doing well in her studies. Then the teacher asks Jinwoo if he would encourage his sister to become a hunter if she had special abilities. Jinwoo quickly says no, and the teacher understands, as the teacher is worried about students who are irregular in school because they're trying to become hunters. Also, one student has already joined as an E-rank hunter, which concerns her. Jinwoo in his mind thinks that students who joined as hunters will likely face danger in the future. Then the teacher asks Jinwoo to talk to his sister about this, as the student who became hunter is his sister's friend and her name is Han Song-ai. Now, Jinwoo leaves from there, but while walking Jinwoo met a girl named Han Song-ai and found that she is the same girl teacher was talking about. She didn't recognize Jinwoo at first, but found out that he was Jin-ah's brother. Han Song-ai again says that she didn't have any plan to go back to school, and now she wanted to keep being a hunter. Hearing this, Jinwoo warned her that regular attacks wouldn't work against monsters, and she had to buy a magic weapon, though it would wear out fast and need replacing. Then he asked her if she only wanted to be a hunter for the money. She gets mad and tells him to stop, because he's also an E-hunter like her. Jinwoo reassures her, saying, "Don't worry, he wasn't trying to make her quit." In another place, there's a skilled hunter named Hwang Dong-soo, who just came to Korea. His brother got accused of killing some other hunters, and the investigation hadn't begun yet. But beside this, he started asking about Jinwoo. In the next part, we see Jinwoo and Song arrived at a C-rank dungeon which is recently open. They spot a new hunter, Kim Chol there, and found that he is an A-rank hunter. They notice that there's a team ready to enter the dungeon, and it consists of 1 A-rank, 7 B-rank, and 4 C-rank hunters. Jinwoo wonders why there are so many high-ranked hunters for lower-ranked dungeon. Sang-min explains that they're all new and need to practice. Song-ai suggests they will join too, but Ji-chul, knowing how powerful Jiwoo is, he quietly asks him to stay on the sidelines as it will be too easy if he interfere. When the hunters go into the dungeon, the gate turns red, which makes them feel strange and worried. Jinwoo gets stuck at the door and asks them to call for backup. Sang-min gets scared and calls their master, White Tiger, who is a powerful S-rank hunter. Even White Tiger is shocked to know how it is happening and decides to come and see for himself. The scene switches where we see Dong-soo is in a car with Jin-chul, and they are heading to a dungeon. Dong-soo again starts asking about Jinwoo, but he gets mad at Jin-chul when he starts rubish talk. In the next scene, all the new hunters got surprised by what they found in the dungeon, but Jinwoo did not feel anything weird about this. Suddenly, ice elves attack them from the trees and catch them off guard. Jinwoo found it strange because he couldn't sense the elves earlier. Yoon-ho has reached the dungeon gate but can't go in. He questions if it's really a C-rank dungeon. Sang-min explains they have contacted with the Korean guild, and they says obviously it's a C-rank dungeon. Then they realize that red gates usually mean high-rank dungeons, with different energy from another world. So, it might be higher than C-rank. Then he asks about the hunters inside, and Sang-min gives all the details, making Yoon-ho worry about their safety. Yoon-ho explains that if it's a B-rank dungeon, it needs 3 A-rank hunters, and if it's a rank, it needs 3 S-rank or 10 A-rank hunters. Sung-min tells Yoon-ho that 2 hunters also enter the dungeon, which surprises Yoon-ho. Then, Sung-min reveals they are E-ranked hunters. Meanwhile, Inside the dungeon, some ice elves have already defeated 2 weak hunters, making Jinwoo angry. Kim Chul tells everyone about this dangerous dungeon as it has a red gate. He tells them that they can't leave until they finish it or get finished. This scares everyone, and then Song-ai asks Jinwoo what the red gate is. Jinwoo explains it's a special portal to another world, and once anyone goes in then, they can't leave the dungeon until they beat the boss of the dungeon. A rank hunter named Kim Chul says from now, he will look after everyone, but he couldn't promise everyone would make it out alive. Then Kim Chul decided to make a team to survive the dungeon. Also, Jinwoo thought it was a good idea. Then Kim Chul tells that he will only let hunters who were above C rank to join his team. And he informed everyone that 1 day in the dungeon was like 1 hour in the normal world. Then, girl named Hee Jin wanted to go with Jinwoo, so Kim Chul asked someone else to join his team. Outside the dungeon, Sung Min tells Yoon Ho about Jinwoo's second awakening, but Yoon Ho doesn't believe it. He says he only trusts Kim Chul for this mission. But Sung Min thought that if the master had met Jinwoo earlier, he wouldn't underestimate him. Then Sung Chan, the chief of management, arrives. But he also believes in Kim Chul's skills and thinks he'll handle the mission well. Yoon Ho agrees, saying Kim Chul and some B rank hunters should clear the dungeon. Then Sung Chan again praises Kim Chul, saying he's better than Jinwoo. Sung Min replies, let's wait and see when they finish. Next we see that Dong Su arrives at the dungeon and starts asking about the dungeon and its rank. Everyone there got surprised to see him and calls him as the Scavenger Guild's top hunter. They wonder why he's in Korea and what he is doing here, to which Dong Su replies that he's here for some personal business with someone. Hearing this, Yoon Ho gets worried and wonders why Dong Su is in the White Tiger Guild's area. Then, Dong Su asks about Jinwoo, an E-rank hunter who went inside the dungeon. Yoon Ho gets even more worried, wondering why Dong Su is asking about Jinwoo. In the next part, Jinwoo talks to Hee Jin, where Hee Jin tells him that Kim Chul has had a special training and he wants to join White Tiger's main attack group. Then Kim Chul and Jinwoo's team go their own way through the forest. While walking, Hee Jin thinks Jinwoo might be a rank hunter. Later, Kim Chul notices some marks on trees, showing they're in the Ice Bears area. Meanwhile, Kim Chul and his team make fun of Jinwoo for being a lower-ranked hunter and also for not having good training. But when they walk a bit more, Kim Chul senses enemies nearby and tells his team to prepare for a fight. Then they end up fighting Ice Bears, and Kim Chul, being a rank hunter, defeats them all. He tells his team to gather the bear's meat for food. Meanwhile, Jinwoo's team also notices the ice bear marks, but Jinwoo decides to face them alone. Before the fight, Jinwoo gives his teammates warm clothes from his inventory so they won't freeze. However, everyone is surprised at how Jinwoo has so many items. Jinwoo talks to Song-ai and tells her that it's now his duty to protect her and ask her to not question him. He says the same to the other team members and tells them to not ask for anything. Suddenly, a big bear appears, and Hee Jin tries to distract it, but Jinwoo pulls her back and says only he will fight monsters, so she should stay back. Jinwoo starts fighting the polar bear with his bare hands and defeats it in one attack. Everyone is shocked by his strength and asks who he really is. Outside the dungeon, Yoon Ho keeps asking Dong Su why he's interested in Jinwoo, but Dong Su says it's none of his business. Then they all wait at the red gate to find out what's going on. Later, Jinwoo's team eats together and introduces themselves. Jinwoo and Song chat about Jinwoo's sister's daily routine. And after eating, Jinwoo starts doing exercise as he'll get penalized if he doesn't. Then Jinwoo goes to hunt more ice bears. Then by seeing huge numbers of bears, he summons his shadow army to help. His shadow army attack on the bears with different moves and quickly defeat them all. Jinwoo is surprised by how strong his shadow army is as he didn't expect them to be so powerful. Then suddenly, the leader of Ice Bear shows up. So to fight against the leader, Jinwoo calls Igris, who is from his powerful shadow army. Igris easily defeats the Ice Bear leader and impresses Jinwoo. But Jinwoo realizes Igris is as strong as him or more than him. He praises Igris and then added Ice Bear leader to his shadow army by saying arise. Now, outside the dungeon, They are worried as it's been 3 days since hunters entered in the dungeon, and Dong-soo thinks he is wasting his time as Jinwoo might be dead, and then he questions how he got inside the dungeon. Sang-min replies that he allowed Jinwoo in because it's just a low-level dungeon, but Yoon-ho isn't convinced with the answer and doubts it. But hearing this, Dong-soo gets angry and grabs Sang-min, but Yoon-ho stops him. Sang-min worries that the situation might lead to a fight between the powerful S-rank hunters. Now, inside the dungeon, Kim Chol struggles against monsters and blames himself for failing to protect his friends. Suddenly, ice elves attack, killing one of Kim Chol's teammates. But beside helping him, Kim Chol runs for his life, assuming that now, he can survive only if he hadn't starved for days. As he continues running, he noticed that all the ice bears are dead, and he can't believe that Jinwoo's team did it, and he thinks it must be done by Hyuki. Then he starts running again to protect himself. Outside the dungeon, Yoon-go and Dong-so are fighting, but another member stops them and asks them not to fight. They then talk about Jinwoo's ranking and say they checked his magic power, and also they confirm that Jinwoo is still at an E rank. Meanwhile, Dong-so loses interest in Jinwoo and says now he's going to bed. However, inside the dungeon, Jinwoo's team is having a good time when Kim Chol arrives, but Kim Chol got shocked to see that Jinwoo's team have warm clothes, food, and everything they need. He can't believe it because they are all low-rank hunters. Then he calls out them and tells them that his team was wiped out due to a lack of supplies. And then he asks them who hide all the supplies. But after getting no reply, he takes out his sword to attack them, but Jinwoo slaps him and knocks him down. Then Jinwoo talks to Kim Chol and asks about the situation, but suddenly, an ice elves show up and call them trash, which makes Jinwoo angry. He asks the ice elves if they just called him trash. The ice elves got surprised to know that Jinwoo can talk to monsters, and Jinwoo also wonders how it's possible for him. Then the leader of the ice elves introduces Jinwoo to the ice elves who told them about humans. While the leader is talking, Jinwoo cuts off the heads of the ice elves that the leader was introducing, and then Jinwoo asks the leader if he has anything else to say. The ice elf leader finds Jinwoo interesting and asks him why he is with humans if he is not human himself. Jinwoo doesn't understand, so the ice elf leader explains that they constantly hear a voice telling them to kill humans, but they can't hear it when Jinwoo is around. Jinwoo thinks this is similar to the system's orders he gets. Then the ice elf leader says they don't need to fight Jinwoo because he doesn't want any casualties and asks Jinwoo to hand over the humans. But Jinwoo refuses. Then the ice elves arrive with their leader and ask Jinwoo if he thinks he can defeat the army considering lower in number than the humans. Jinwoo then summons his shadow army, and seeing it everyone got surprised as they amazed to see the monsters have suddenly appeared. But ice elf leader calls it as a cheap trick. Then a battle begins between Jinwoo's shadow army and the ice elves. Jinwoo believes his army can handle the ice elves, but he sees the leader as a major threat. However, the ice elves leader introduces himself as Baruka and asks for Jinwoo's name. Then they start fighting, but Jinwoo is struggling to land his attack on Baruka as Baruka is blocking them easily. Jinwoo uses magic to attack on Baruka to get some time. Meanwhile, Kim Chol wakes up and now he also wants to kill Jinwoo. At the same time, Baruka charges at Jinwoo, but Jinwoo calls Igris for help, and in the meantime Igris kills Kim Chol easily. Then Jinwoo teams up with Igris to fight Baruka, but Baruka thinks they are still not strong enough to beat him. Jinwoo adds the dead Kim Chol to his shadow army by saying arise and named him Iron. However, Baruka is confident that even with long-term soldiers cannot stop him. Then Baruka attacks Jinwoo, but Iron steps in and uses his skill called Taunting Cry to block Baruka's attack. Baruka thinks another powerful fighter has joined the battle. Baruka and Iron start fighting, and after a few exchanges, Baruka admits he can't win against Iron. Then Jinwoo sarcastically asks, "How about 3 of us?" As they fight, the other members watch in amazement, thinking all hunters must be strong as Jinwoo, and they can't believe what they're seeing and wonder if it's real or a dream. The fight goes on, and Jinwoo uses attacks to paralyze Baruka, but Baruka's resistance cancels the effect of Jinwoo's attack. Then Jinwoo points out that Baruka's Ice Elves army is completely gone. But Baruka vows to finish off Jinwoo's shadow army after defeating Jinwoo. The battle continues, but when Jinwoo throws his weapon away, Baruka starts laughing. But then Jinwoo uses his skill to control objects without touching them, speeds up the weapon, and attacks Baruka. Iron grabs Baruka from behind, and the shadow army hits Baruka with blast magic. But after all this, Baruka survives. Jinwoo then attacks Baruka and declares this is Baruka's end now. In the meantime, Baruka grabs Jinwoo's hand and asks Jinwoo who he thinks he's facing. Suddenly, Iron attacks Baruka with a sword and defeats him. With this, Jinwoo has beaten the dungeon boss and says it's finally over. Everyone is amazed by the fight, and especially with the Jinwoo's powers. But Iron keeps attacking the dead Baruka, and Jinwoo asks him to stop. However, Jinwoo got worried about the future after seeing this. After defeating all the enemies, the shadow army celebrates, and Jinwoo tells every hunter to leave the dungeon. Everyone got happy after hearing this. But as they head out, Jinwoo keeps thinking about Baruka. Everyone leaving the dungeon. However, Yoongo is thinking about Kim Chol's success in beating the dungeon boss. Slowly, everyone exits, including Jinwoo. But Yoongo and others are surprised to see that only low-rank hunters survived. Then Jinwoo says he's tired and wants to go home, but Yoongo stops him to ask what happened inside the dungeon. But Jinwoo refuses to answer and tells Yoongo to ask his guild members instead. This makes Yoongo angry, and he tries to order Jinwoo, as he lost 9 of his guild members. But Jinwoo tells him he should be thankful for saving the 3 people who made it out. Then Yoongo apologizes to Jinwoo, and Jinwoo leaves with Song Yi. Then Yoongo asks Jin about Jinwoo. Who is he, and why is he upset? Jin starts to explain, but Jong-soo interrupts, saying Jinwoo is probably just tired, and he isn't a bad person. Then Yoongo asks Jong-soo if they should try to recruit Jinwoo to their team. Wait, everyone. Before we continue, if you haven't watched the previous episode, check out the link to all episodes in the description box. Now, let's move on. While going home, Jinwoo remembers the time when he couldn't extract Baruka's shadow and thinks it might be because of their power difference. But he is glad that he managed to get Baruka's weapon. Jinwoo then stops the car to drop off Song Yi. Meanwhile, Jinwoo is thinking about starting a raid with Jin-ho today. The next day, Jin-ho arrives at Jinwoo's home to pick him up. As they head to the new dungeon, Jinwoo calls Song Yi to come out since he's picking her up. Hearing this, Jin-ho wonders if Jinwoo and Song Yi have a deep relationship. When they reach Song Yi's home, Jin-ho asks if he should call Song Yi his sister-in-law, but this surprises Jinwoo. Then he explains that she is just a friend of his sister. After that, Song Yi gets in the van and greets Jin-ho with a good morning. Jinwoo and Song Yi start talking about how they couldn't sleep last night and are both tired. This shocks Jin-ho, who then tells Jinwoo that Song Yi is a minor. When Jinwoo asks why he said that, Jin-ho changes the subject and says never mind. They hurry toward the dungeon, where Jinwoo calls his shadow army to defeat the enemies inside. But Jin-ho got shocked and asks, "What is this?" Jinwoo explains him that it's his skill to summon these shadows for help. Jin-ho is amazed by Jinwoo's skill, but Jinwoo says he can't explain it fully right now. After defeating all the enemies, the shadow army starts collecting crystals. Jin-ho asks if he can at least collect crystals because the shadow army took over his task. The next day, they finish all 19 raids as promised. Meanwhile, somewhere in the eastern United States, in a rank dungeon, and a rank hunter named James is scared to see a human-like monster. This monster walks towards James and says, "Don't worry, I didn't kill any hunters, as I just knocked them down. And I'm not a monster. I'm a human from Korea and need to go home." But wait, who is this human trapped in the dungeon? Then the scene switches to Jinwoo and Jin-ho eating together. Jinwoo asks Jin-ho what he plans to do now as the 19 raids are over. Jin-ho replies that he'll get a guild license after finishing a simple paper exam. Next, we see a key in Jinwoo's hand that can open the door to the demon castle. Jinwoo asks, "What am I to you?" Jin-ho gets emotional and says he has an older brother who doesn't like him and never spends time with him. And when Jinwoo saved his life, Jinho started seeing Jinwoo as more of a brother than his real brother. Jinwoo replies him that he also considers him as younger brother too. This makes Jinho emotional. However, Yoongo is still wondering why low-ranked hunters survived while high-ranked hunters didn't. And he also heard that someone helped Jinwoo during the fight, but couldn't find any evidence. While he's thinking, Byung-gu calls him about a Red Gate dungeon that opened on Jeju Island 4 years ago. After 3 failed operations, the government gave up on Jeju Island, which is now overrun with ants. And now, they just got alarming news that these ants can fly and might spread across Korea. Also, some ants with wings were found on Japan's coast, suggesting a mutation. Then the scene shifts to Jinwoo's house, where he is planning for a trip. His sister asks why he's going on the sudden trip. After leaving, Jinwoo reaches a building and uses a key to open the door to the demon castle, as seen before. But inside the castle, he can't sense any monsters, and then he gets a quest to collect the souls of demons in the demon castle. As Jinwoo moves forward, he got surprised to see that the dungeon is like a whole city, from where he have to collect 10,000 demon souls. Suddenly, some weak monsters appear in front of him. Jinwoo quickly attacks and defeats them. Now at a Korean restaurant, Jinho is talking to his dad about managing the Eugene Guild. But Jinho's dad is looking deeply at Jinho's guildmaster license and raid records. Jinho thinks his dad is having a hard time deciding between him and his brother. Then, Jinho's dad says there's someone Jinho should meet, and then he invites Myung-hwan, a survivor of the recent White Tiger Red Gate incident. Jinho asks why Myung-hwan is here and hiding from the media. Myung-hwan says that inside the Red Gate dungeon, there was a high school girl hunter named Song Yi and a guy named Jinwoo. Now, Jinho understands why Myung-hwan is here and realizes that he isn't the only one who knows Jinwoo's secret, and it's time for him to negotiate with his dad about the guild. Jinho's dad tells him that he knows that Jinho got help from Jinwoo to get his guild license, but Jinho still asks to lead the Eugene Guild. His dad agrees, but at one cost if he can bring Jinwoo to the guild. Jinho promises to try. Then Jinho's dad tells that he had tried to get 2S rank hunters to join the guild, but failed. And now, he is looking forward to work with Jinwoo. However, inside the castle, Jinwoo has collected 309 demon souls, but he still has a long way to go. Jinwoo realizes he needs to clear 9C level dungeons just to level up once. Although he's as powerful as an S rank hunter, Jinwoo feels it is not enough and wants to gain more power. He receives an entry permit to access the second floor through a magic circle. As Jinwoo knows the castle is full of demons, he summons Ice Bear from his shadow army to help him. But if you don't know how Jinwoo defeated this Ice Bear in a previous episode, then check the links from video description. Now, Jinwoo climbs on the Ice Bear's back and orders to move forward. On their way to the magic circle, they encounter demons blocking their path. Jinwoo orders the Ice Bear to defeat them all and keep moving towards the magic circle to enter the second floor. Impressed by the Ice Bear's strength, Jinwoo names it Tank. Meanwhile, outside the demon castle, in Washington at the Bureau of Hunters, some officers are looking at the demon hunter they found inside a dungeon in the previous episode, as we explained. After interrogating this mystery hunter, they learn that his name is Sung Lee Hwan, and he is from Korea. One officer explains that Lee Hwan was trapped in a dungeon 10 years ago when the dungeon gate closed in Korea. When he opened his eyes, he found himself in the United States. According to these officers, Lee Hwan is a monster in human form, putting all of Washington in danger because there are no S-rank hunters available. After searching around, they find an S-rank hunter named Dong-soo in Washington, who is also fluent in Korean. Meanwhile, Hwang is still thinking about killing Jinwoo because his last attempt failed, as Jinwoo was stuck inside the Red Gate dungeon, as shown in the previous episode. Back to the demon castle, each floor is separate and contains a demon with an entry permit, which allows Jinwoo to move to the next floor. Jinwoo starts climbing each floor by defeating the demons and collecting their entry permits. So far, Jinwoo has captured 2,116 demon souls out of the 10,000 he needs. Jinwoo worries that if the castle has 100 floors, it might be impossible for him to reach the top within a week. Despite this, he keeps fighting and advancing. Now, he has reached the 50th floor and has captured 2,561 demon souls. On the 50th floor, Vulcan, the ruler of the lower floors, is present with a large number of guards. Seeing Vulcan, Jinwoo realizes he needs to be careful because Vulcan is a boss-level demon. Vulcan orders his guards to attack Jinwoo. Seeing him as an intruder, Jinwoo summons his shadow army to assist and protect him from the demons. While the shadow army and Vulcan's guards are fighting, Jinwoo uses a special skill to become invisible. He thinks that even though these demons are high level, his shadow army can handle them because he has been leveling them up from the start. Jinwoo notices that Vulcan, the leader, isn't moving. Suddenly, Vulcan disappears and quickly attacks the shadow army, defeating them with little effort. This makes Jinwoo furious, so he comes out of hiding and delivers a powerful punch to Vulcan, but Vulcan vanishes again. Actually, Vulcan didn't vanish. He flew away at high speed, surprising Jinwoo with his movements. Vulcan is using a special skill called Wrath, which increases his stats by 50%, helps him maintain his rage, and reduces the pain he feels. With his speed increased, Jinwoo realizes he can't avoid Vulcan's attacks, so he calls out Iron to guard him. Iron throws a shield to Jinwoo, enabling him to block Vulcan's attacks. Jinwoo is trying hard to find an opening for a counterattack. When he jumps into the air to strike Vulcan, he realizes that Vulcan is also waiting for this moment to attack him. Surprised and unable to move in mid-air, Jinwoo uses a skill called Dominator's Touch to push himself back without touching the rock, successfully avoiding Vulcan's attack. Jinwoo decides he needs to aim for Vulcan's head to defeat him, but he's not finding any opportunities. Suddenly, he notices a building collapsing nearby. He starts running towards it, with Vulcan chasing him at full speed. Jinwoo climbs the building, and Vulcan struggles to stop suddenly because of his large size. Seeing his chance, Jinwoo attacks Vulcan, successfully dealing him a brutal blow. The scene then switches to Sang-min talking to Park Hee-jin about Jinwoo. Hee-jin says that Jinwoo is on a trip with his friends. Sang-min is surprised and asks how she knows about Jinwoo. Hee-jin explains that she has been in contact with Song-yi, who is Jinwoo's sister's friend, and got all this information from her. Both Hee-jin and Sang-min are searching for someone in an apartment, but find nothing. Back to the fight, Jinwoo attacks Vulcan again, and finally defeats him. After defeating Vulcan, Jinwoo receives some useful and valuable items, including the Orb of Avarice, which can double magic damage. Iron starts acting differently, so Jinwoo asks him to stop and thanks him for lending his shield. Jinwoo begins to suspect that something might be off, perhaps Iron attacked him, which confuses Jinwoo. To test the Orb of Avarice, Jinwoo calls his magic unit and asks them to fire on a building. The attack impresses Jinwoo with its power. At the Bureau of Hunters, Dong-soo is interrogating Li Huan, asking how he survived in a dungeon for 10 years. After a few more questions, Li Huan reveals that the dungeon gates and monsters are not the real threat. The greatest disaster is yet to come. When Dong-soo asks about this greatest danger, Li Huan says he cannot reveal it. Dong-soo suggests that if they knew more about the greatest danger, they could gather all hunters to work together against it. But according to Li Huan, the number of hunters doesn't matter against the power he's referring to. If all hunters fight against it, they'll be easily defeated. When Dong-soo asks about his children, Li Huan says his daughter's name is Sung Jin-ah and his son's name is Jinwoo. Hearing the names, Dong-soo smiles and mutters bloodlust. But this worries Li Huan. He asks what Dong-soo means, but Dong-soo insists he's the one asking questions. This makes Li Huan angry, and he warns that if he did not get answers, then he'll use force. Dong-soo presses a button on the table to call the deputy director, and declares that Li Huan is a monster. He further states that Li Huan could attack at any time, so everyone should evacuate quickly. Dong-soo then lies to Li Huan, telling him that his son is dead. Back to Demon Castle, Jinwoo is fighting against an army of demons, with the demon leader standing back and giving orders. Jinwoo calls Iron and Igris to clear a path for him to reach the demon boss. Iron and Igris start defeating demons, which shocks the demon boss. Jinwoo taunts the boss, saying, "Are you amazed by my kid's powers?" Then he attacks the boss and swiftly defeats him. Jinwoo, thinking about the powerful demon boss Metis, whom he just defeated. He wants to add Metis to his shadow army, but for some unknown reason, he can't. After defeating Metis, Jinwoo received a magic necklace. And now, after receiving this necklace, he has 2 out of the 3 magic necklaces he needs. Also, Jinwoo has completed his quest of collecting 10,000 demon souls. For completing this, he gets 3 rewards. As the first reward, Jinwoo picks a magic random box and finds another key inside it, which he adds to his inventory. The second reward is 20 bonus stats, and the third reward is a recipe for the holy water of life. This recipe will help Jinwoo learn how to make it. In the next scene we see firefighters struggling to put out a building fire which is caused by a battle between 2 S-rank hunters. In this battle, Hunter Dong-soo lost against Jinwoo's father Li Huan. Wait, if you wonder why Dong-soo and Jinwoo's father Li Huan were fighting, answer to this question is from previous episode, and if you haven't watched it, then check link to previous episodes in description. Next, we see Jinwoo visit to hospital for his mother. There he looks at the magic item, the holy water of life, because it can cure any disease. Jinwoo hopes to use it to heal his mother. However, he realizes he still needs the purified blood of the Demon King to craft the holy water of life. Jinwoo thinks that if he clears all the upper floors of the demon castle, then he can get the remaining items he needs. However, he has already increased his level by 16 after spending a week defeating demons in the demon castle. But Jinwoo decides to clear the upper floors soon to help his mother. At the Korean Hunters Association, officers are discussing the news about a fight between 2 S-rank hunters that caused an explosion and set a building on fire. Then Yoon-ho receives a call about a hunter he has been eager to meet. Well, it's Sung Jinwoo, who has come to the association to re-evaluate his rank. There a female officer guides Jinwoo to the room where a few other people are waiting for their rank checkup. While waiting, 2 people next to Jinwoo talk about hunter ranks. One mentions that if their rank is low after re-evaluation, they can contact the people standing nearby, who are from small guilds and looking to recruit low-rank hunters. Jinwoo thinks that these types of recruiters weren't around when he first checked his rank. After that, some information about hunters' ranks is shown. It states that each hunter's power is determined by their rank, and no matter how much they practice, and hunters cannot close the gap without leveling up their rank. This difference in power also means a difference in income. The officer calls Jinwoo for his rank re-evaluation and asks him to place his hand on a magic crystal to measure his rank. The officer got shocked to see an error and asks to check Jinwoo's rank again. After multiple checks, she still can't understand what's happening and thinks the machine might be faulty. Then the assistant manager comes and asks why she's working alone and where is Chang Shik. The assistant manager checks the machine and also sees the error. He also got shocked because it's been 2 years since the machine last showed an error, which happened during Hai-in's re-evaluation. The female officer asks the assistant manager why he is so shocked. He explains that the error means Jinwoo's magic powers are immeasurable, and that's why he declares that Jinwoo is South Korea's 10th S-rank hunter. In the next scene we see Jim Chul is talking to Jong-in. Jong-in asks Jim Chul if Dong-soo is related to the recent Red Gate dungeon incident. However, Jim Chul clarifies that Dong-soo didn't help anyone in the Red Gate dungeon as he was outside the dungeon. Then Jong-in asks Jim Chul if he knows about the man who helped during the Red Gate dungeon. Jim Chul replies that he wasn't there until the end, so he doesn't have the exact details about him. While they were talking, Jong-in notices a lot of noise coming from Building B. Jim Chul thinks it's probably a new hunter causing the commotion because of their rank evaluation. Then they both decide to go inside and check it out. After Jinwoo finishes his rank re-evaluation, the assistant manager asks him to come back in 3 days so they can re-check his power and rank with a different detector. All the officers present are amazed to know that Jinwoo's magic power is immeasurable and that he is now an S-rank hunter. When Jong-in enters the building, everyone got amazed as Jong-in is an S-rank hunter and the guildmaster of South Korea's best guild, Hunters. However, Jinwoo seems happy to see Jong-in and asks if this is the hunter known as the ultimate soldier. Then Jong-in also declares that there is no need for any further detectors, as he confirms that Jinwoo is indeed an S-rank hunter. Then he asks Jinwoo if he has any guild in mind to join. He also asked Jinwoo to join, but Jinwoo declines the offer to join his guild. Jong-in got surprised but seemed respectful. Jong-in again starts conversation with Jim Chul. However, he seemed confused if he introduced himself to Jinwoo properly. Meanwhile, Jinwoo thinks about clearing the demon castle to collect the remaining item needed to craft the holy water of life for his mother. Then Jong-in notices that Jinwoo has silently left the scene and calls him a perfect assassin-type hunter. Then Yoon-ho arrives at the Hunters Association building. However, Jong-in wonders why he is there. Yoon-ho also asks about Jinwoo, but Jong-in suspects that Yoon-ho might have known about this mysterious hunter from the beginning. Jong-in tells Yoon-ho that he will never succeed in convincing Jinwoo to join his guild. Hearing this, Yoon-ho thinks he was too late since Jong-in has already met Jinwoo. Jinwoo returns to the hospital to visit his mother and waits for her to wake up. He reflects on needing to get stronger because the upper floor boss could easily defeat him. Suddenly, Jin Chul arrives there and tells Jinwoo that he was right about Jinwoo being the hunter who defeated the monster. Jin Chul tells Jinwoo that the monitoring division is not just for monsters or dungeons, but is actually meant to regulate and punish hunters if they break any laws. Jinwoo replies that he does not want to get involved with the monitoring division. Then Jin Chul asks Jinwoo to spare some time as the Hunters Association chairman, Gun-hee, wants to meet him and he is also present at the hospital. Gun-hee comes and greets Jinwoo, and then they start talking about Jinwoo's rank. Gun-hee congratulates Jinwoo on becoming an S-rank hunter and explains that it's impossible to measure the powers of someone like Jinwoo because if it were possible, it would be hard to distinguish between who is S-rank, S's rank, or Shrank. Then Jinwoo asks about the re-examination process. Gun-hee explains that it's mostly to buy guild time to contact the hunter and convince him to join their guild, as each guild wants new S-rank hunters, and to do that they offer them name, fame, and money. Gun-hee further explains that the Hunters Association doesn't have many talented hunters because it doesn't offer fame and high salaries, so every hunter wants to join a top guild instead. He adds that while people can name all the core members of top guilds, they can't guess the name Chief Jin Chul. He further tells that the Hunters Association is not a business and can't promise high income, but Gun-hee promises Jinwoo success on a different path. Their conversation continues. Gun-hee reveals that their country is not run by the government, but it depends on hunters who kill monsters to save lives. He offers Jinwoo a chance to stand with the Hunters Association. Jinwoo seems confused and asks why he's being offered this. Gun-hee explains that there are 5 top guilds in country that maintain balance, and if Jinwoo joins any of these guilds, it could create chaos, as law and government are not strong enough to control hunters, and that's why the Hunters Association monitors them. Gun-hee says he can help him to succeed because he has influence over government, association, and media. However, after thinking for a while, Jinwoo turns down the offer. Gun-hee asks Jinwoo if money is the reason for rejecting the offer. Jinwoo replies that he needs to fight stronger monsters to level up and gain more power, but the association only has low-rank dungeons left, and that's why he can't accept the offer. Then Jinwoo stands up and leaves because his sister is home alone. Gun-hee thanks him for his time. As Jinwoo walks away, he tells Jin Chul that he is not the only one who saves people in a double dungeon. Jin Chul gets curious and asks who is he, but Jinwoo doesn't answer and leaves. However, Gun-hee is worried that guild will become uncontrollable if guilds keep getting stronger, as it will lead association to loses its power. Then he orders Jin Chul to cancel all his meetings for today. Next, we see Dong-so in hospital lost in thoughts about his fight with Jinwoo's father, Li Huan. An officer visits Dong-so and shows a video of Li Huan helping people and asks if Li Huan is really a monster. The officer further says he's never seen a monster save humans. However, Dong-so avoids him and taunts if he has ever seen a human come out of a dungeon. Then Dong-so asks the officer where is Li Huan's now. Officer tells him that Li Huan disappeared after their fight and the bureau is searching for him. Then we see a flashback where Li Huan threatens Dong-so to never return to Korea or he won't rest in peace even after death. Dong-so decides to contact his guild for equipment to defeat Li Huan, as he seems confident that where Li Huan can go. Next, we learn about Hunter's Auction, where hunters can buy and sell equipment and materials. And with thousands of hunters in the country, this auction is easily accessible. Equipment is crucial for hunters as it may be deciding factor between life and death, whether in attack or defense. You might not know, but these weapons are extremely expensive. Even a weapon used by a D-rank hunter can be worth millions, while weapons for higher-ranked hunters can cost up to hundreds of millions. Jinwoo is also browsing Hunter's Auction for excellent equipment. However, it's all very expensive, and even with his savings, he can't afford it as of now. He thinks about selling the Orb of Avarice to buy artifact which he needs but hesitates because he would have to explain others how he got this powerful magic item. He finally decides to wait until he gets his S-rank license. Then he finds a raid team that is currently recruiting. The next scene switches to Hunters Association, where Jin Chul hands Jinwoo's file to Gun Hee, which contains Jinwoo's record from the past 4 years when he was just an E-rank hunter. Gun Hee doubts if Jinwoo was a false ranker, but Jin Chul explains that after talking to fellow hunters, it doesn't seem that way. Gun Hee questions how Jinwoo managed to keep working despite being badly injured during his initial tasks. Jin Chul reveals that Jinwoo continued because of his mother's hospital bills, but Gun Hee got shocked when he comes to know that Jinwoo has already joined a raid team from Hunters Guild. Gun Hee thinks he was right about Jinwoo's greed for money, but Jin Chul reveals that Jinwoo joined mining team instead of the attack force. Gun Hee wonders as he could not believe why an S-rank hunter would work as a miner. Jinwoo arrives at dungeon in his mining uniform, where he is questioned about his mining experience. However, one of the miners reassures him not to get nervous as mining team's job is to extract ores from dungeons after the attack force has defeated the monsters. Jinwoo found it good since it's in a ranked dungeon, and he will enter similar dungeons in future. Then Jong-in and his team enters in dungeon. He thinks that if they take too long to defeat the monsters, it will make things difficult for other teams. When a few monsters appear, Jong-in attacks them with a powerful blast and burns them. He orders his team to take positions and cover themselves as a firestorm is about to hit. The team quickly takes cover behind their shields and remains untouched by the firestorm done by Jong-in. He notes that if he uses too much power, the monsters' corpses will turn to ashes, and then it will be impossible to collect them. While Jong-in's team is defeating monsters, mining team asks how long it will take. Jong-soo tells them to wait a bit longer until the attack force clears all the monsters. After some time, attack force comes out, and the mining team prepares to enter the dungeon. Jinwoo hides his face to avoid being noticed by Jong-in. As attack force leaves the dungeon, Jinwoo spots a girl named Cha Hai-in, who is S-rank hunter and vice master of Hunters Guild. Jinwoo got amazed by her power level as she might be stronger than Jong-in and possibly equal to Gun Hee. Hai-in also senses a strong presence similar to Gun Hee's, but it quickly disappears. She wonders how Chairman, who is usually very busy, could be there. Jinwoo realizes Hai-in is sharper than he thought. Then mining team begins entering in dungeon. Once inside, Jinwoo feels a strange wind, which he recognizes as a wave of magic coming from dungeon boss. Meanwhile, other team members are talking about new recruit, E-rank hunter Jinwoo. Jinwoo thinks about why E-rank hunters like him always face discrimination. One mining team member tries to intimidate Jinwoo, but gets scared when he sees Jinwoo's face and doubts if Jinwoo is really E-rank hunter. Jinwoo asks another team member what would happen if the dungeon boss left its nest before being defeated. He replies that such situations are very rare, but if it happened, everyone present there would likely be dead. Jinwoo asks if they are scared of the boss, but mining member replies he has been working in this Hunters Guild for 3 years and he has never seen anything like that. Jinwoo thinks that ignoring such situations can be dangerous, but he is confident that Jong-in's team can easily defeat a ranked dungeon boss. The team begins mining ores, but everyone got amazed by Jinwoo's abnormal skill. Then team leader announces it's lunchtime, but Jinwoo says he has already eaten and prefers to continue working. Leader agrees. When everyone leaves, Jinwoo realizes that miners are gone for lunch, and now, he have 1 hour to take a quick look at dungeon boss. When Jinwoo arrives at dungeon boss's location, he thinks this boss is stronger than Midas. If you don't know who Midas is, check out the previous episode linked in the description. Jinwoo feels confident that his current strength is enough to take down dungeon boss, but his inner thoughts warn him against it. He knows that killing dungeon boss would cause the gate to start closing, which will lead to a significant loss for guild. While Jinwoo is confused whether he should defeat the boss or not, Hai-in arrives and asks him what he's doing there. Jinwoo tries to make excuses by saying that he got lost. Hai-in asks him to leave because it's dangerous since the dungeon boss is nearby. However, she is suspicious because earlier she saw a weapon in Jinwoo's hand, but now, it's gone. When Jinwoo tries to leave, Hai-in checks his hunter's ID card and tells him to go. She also warns him to not come back as if the boss got triggered, all the miners could be killed. When Jinwoo leaves, another miner informs him that Hai-in is always on patrol to ensure the dungeon boss doesn't escape, which also explains how she found Jinwoo. Later, Jinwoo learns that Hai-in has a special ability to smell hunters, which is why she always covers her nose around them. However, he got confused because it reminded him of something Baruka told him in the Red Gate dungeon. If you missed that episode, Check out the link in description. After that, Jinwoo thinks why he didn't have a scent like other hunters, even after being so powerful. He thinks this is maybe because of the system from which he may have received special benefits. After finishing their mining work, the leader thanks Jinwoo for helping them finish 2 hours early and offers him a job. But Jinwoo isn't sure because he has a raid evaluation exam in 2 days. However, when Jinwoo hears about another raid in a ranked dungeon, he gets interested. Then leader tells Jinwoo that Strike Squad B will handle tomorrow's raid instead of them. When Jinwoo hears second tier, he got curious about how a second tier squad will clear in a ranked dungeon. But the leader explains him that Hunters Guild has 2 teams capable of clearing a ranked dungeons, and they divide the work. This impresses Jinwoo, and he agrees to join them for tomorrow's raid. The leader tells Jinwoo that he will ask the supervisor to pay him double because he works faster than average miner. Meanwhile at other place, Jinho is having dinner with his sister where he is talking about becoming a guildmaster and why he needs Jinwoo's help to achieve it. However, Jinho says he hasn't been able to contact Jinwoo from 1 week. Meanwhile on TV, there's news about a hunter named Min Sung, who recently had an awakening and preparing for a re-evaluation of his rank. This news distracts Jinho and his sister, but then Jinho receives a call from Jinwoo. They agree to meet late tomorrow night to discuss becoming a guildmaster. Later, Hyein calls someone to get information about Jinwoo because she suspects Jinwoo of being a spy from another guild. The person she calls tells her that Jongin also asked to look into Jinwoo's file. This surprises both Hyein and other person, especially since the association has classified Jinwoo's file, which is unusual for a low-rank hunter. After that Hyein tries to sleep, but can't stop wondering why association is hiding information about an E-rank hunter. She wonders if he is special, as he is the only one who smells nice to her. The next day, Jinwoo arrives at raid location to work as a miner again, and all miners also gather there for the day's work. Then Hunter Kyun asks if any miner can carry their bags while they're raid. All miners look confused and refuse, but Kyun gives them an offer that whoever helps him will be paid well for extra risk. Jinwoo agrees to carry his bag, but all miners got shocked to see Jinwoo risk his life for some extra money. Then miners warn Jinwoo not to risk his life for some extra money since he has a long life ahead of him. But Jinwoo ignores them as he sees this as a good chance to watch and learn from their attacks in a ranked dungeon. Jinwoo gets ready to enter the dungeon with hunters to carry their bags. Kyun got impressed to see Jinwoo easily carries bags. Jinwoo notices that the strike squad has no S-rank hunters, but it does have 11 A-rank and 6 B-rank hunters. And the dungeon gate also looks bigger than the one from yesterday, but its mana feels weak, so he thinks it doesn't seem very dangerous. Then everyone enters in dungeon, however Jinwoo senses something strange but dismisses it as his imagination, thinking not to worry since he isn't part of the strike team. As they move deeper into dungeon, Jinwoo realizes Hunters Guild must have multiple strike squads like this one. He also observes that B-rank hunters in this squad are as strong as A-rank hunters. Then a girl hunter asks Jinwoo to stay back while they fight against monsters. Jinwoo finds it good as he doesn't need to worry unless strike squad fails. After all the conversations, battle starts, where hunters begin defeating monsters. But suddenly, Kyun notices something approaching them. They discover it's just dungeon jackals, which they can easily defeat. However, hunters are confused and worried because dungeon jackals are C-rank magic beasts and shouldn't be in a ranked dungeon. When Jinwoo asks about it, a hunter explains that it's strange for C-rank beasts to appear in a ranked dungeon because they can't survive there. Jinwoo notices a mark on the jackal's necks which indicates that someone kept them as pets. Suddenly, he senses something big coming toward them, and then a huge monster appears which shocks everyone. A hunter identifies it as a high orc, and finds it unusual for them to be here. And it become more strange for him when he found that it's not just one high orc, it's a group of them. The high orcs start attacking by throwing javelins. Kyun tries to block attacks, but his shield breaks. One by one, monsters attack on hunters. The hunters realize their attacks aren't effective against these beasts. Both hunters and mages struggle to fight against high orcs. Then a mage hunter summons a beast to help in the fight, even after knowing it has a drawback that after summoning, he can't use any other magic spells. He further mentions that he can summon one more beast, but his mana is running low, and he can't keep it up for long. However, monsters are dominating and killing hunters, which is putting them at a disadvantage against these beast monsters. After that, Kyun instructs each hunter to split into groups to avoid being surrounded and killed. Kyun realizes that they underestimated the difficulty of today's dungeon, as it contains an army of high orcs. He mentions that each high orc is as powerful as a rank hunter, and the fight is between 22 high orcs and 17 hunters. Hunters got outnumbered, which makes victory seem unlikely. While Kyun is thinking about this, a monster cuts off his hand. He tells everyone to fall back and not die. Then a mage summons a snake-like creature to fight against monsters, while a healer works to regenerate Kyun's lost hand. At the same time, a high orc attacks on healer and Kyun, making it seem like the end is near. But Jinwoo intervenes and uses his skill to defeat the beast without even touching it. Healer is amazed at this, thinking what just happened.